You have in your packet the draft minutes from our June 9, 2014 meeting.
I'll make a motion to be accepted.
Second.
Any corrections, deletions, additions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. The first item on our agenda is amendment to preliminary final site plan review, Sangertown Square Mall. Scott, you want to take us through this, introduce yourself to the board, please?
Thank you very much. My name is Scott Dumas. I'm the general manager at Sangertown Square. And thank you all for your time coming tonight. It's a nice, warm evening. I'll be barbecuing. And to thank the members of the board, town officials, and the community for supporting Sangertown Square over its 34 years of history. It's been a very positive relationship. And thank you for that. A successful retail project, yes, I'm going to drag this out for 2 minutes, then we'll be done. A successful retail project must continue to evolve to meet the needs and changes of retail trends and design trends. If we do not continue to change, we will lose the interest of the community, the leasing and retail community, and be forgotten. We continue to evolve. What you've seen in Sangertown over the past several years is that continued evolution. For the past few years, we've demoed vacant properties along Seneca Turnpike, the Seaman property, and color tile building. Yes, those sat so long because of me. So we got them done. We've been clearing brush along Commercial Drive, enhancing our sight lines, or curb appeal, if you will. All these things designed to be a positive influence in the community. As we speak, if you read the paper Saturday, we're going through a pretty major renovation right now. We are going through and bringing in new floor tile throughout the whole common area. We haven't been in to see it. The target wing is complete, essentially. It's a very rich-looking white tile, clean lines, very sharp. That'll cover the entire common area of the shopping center. New designer lighting packages. There have been, for quite some time, smoked mirrors in many of our common areas. While I recognize those were once in style, it is no longer the case. Those have come down, and their place will be designer chandeliers over sprawling, soft seating areas. All this is in process right now. Other things behind the scenes, working on new entrances, building management systems, a lot of other things, all designed to push the project forward to that next stage of evolution. What we're looking at today is another small step in the evolution of Sangertown Square. Though presented as an expansion of 13,600 feet, it's really what is essentially an expansion of our GLA of about 700 square feet. Essentially the size of this room is what it does. A lot of the existing GLA within this project is turned into common area, with the new common area corridors. But this project is important in terms of the evolution of Sangertown Square. What we have right now is essentially a fairly unleasable box, for the most part detached from the shopping center, really only attached by roof. It's been proven somewhat difficult to lease. This project will allow us to reincorporate that into the shopping center, making it more attractive and really giving the community exactly what they're looking for. We've been listening. I know everybody wants restaurants and higher end retail, and that's what we intend to deliver. The names reflected on the rendering are by no means the names of any restaurants that I'm even aware of. These are just template names thrown on here for purposes of the rendering. But again, reincorporating this piece into the shopping center is an important part. This, essentially the existing location of the Circuit City entry, expanding it to the left and right under what is essentially currently impervious ground, and enhancing the sight lines along the front of what is the current Circuit City. This rendering below is what's being proposed from the inside of this space looking out through that door, but is currently inside of Circuit City once it connects to the remainder of the rest of the existing facility, which is being upgraded. This is essentially what we'll be looking at. Thank you for your time. Look forward to your feedback. I'll turn it over to Randy Bebout to go through the details.
Not so exciting site plan. That was pretty good picture. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Randy Bebout with T.Y. Lynn. Just to talk about the actual site piece and the impacts. As Scott said, this is a pretty small impact because the majority of these areas what we have shaded here in the tan is the actual building expansion area. Most of these areas are impervious service areas already. So the square foot, or the proposed expansion is 13,642 square feet. This was recently, through the town comprehensive plan, was changed to general commercial district C1. The overall current gross floor area is 976,446 square feet. You add the 13,642 square feet to it, you end up with 990,088 square feet as the total gross floor area of the mall. In regards to parking, currently there's some spaces along the front of Circuit City and a few more spaces here. So we're eliminating those spaces there. These spaces stay exactly the same. These spaces out here stay exactly the same, so there really is no impact to parking or circulation. The changes result in a net loss of 8 parking spaces. With the new code requirements, the 1 space per 250 square feet, required parking spaces for the entire mall based on the gross floor area that I mentioned is 3,960 spaces. Currently, there's 4,020, and with the loss of 8 spaces, we're at 4,012. So we meet the requirements for parking. Maximum impervious area, maximum allowed is 66%. With this project, that number changes to 65.2, so we are under the maximum impervious area. So we have the building expansions here in the tan. We have a new sidewalk across the front of this. As Scott mentioned, this is currently this area here, which turns into a new main mall corridor. Proposed restaurant uses here. We're showing approximately 8-foot wide patio here for outdoor seating, providing a landscaped area in between the outdoor seating and the kind of the main walkway that people will use to get to that main mall corridor. Currently, there is a loading dock here that's being removed. That was the purpose of that loading dock, was just for the Circuit City. So that kind of goes away. There will be a service entry here with a compactor in that back corner. As part of this expansion, we got to relocate an existing pad mount transformer, which is shown right here. And so that's kind of the essence of the site work. In regards to utilities, there's water line, sewer line, and storm line under this expansion area that serves different parts of the building. The only utility we're really changing is upgrading an existing storm sewer in there. There's some ongoing issues with that, with some harder rains. I believe it's a little undersized, so we're just replacing a leg of storm sewer from here, a new manhole out here, and then to the junction point here, there's a main line that runs out here. So that's really the extent of the utility work. All the services for these new buildings will be brought in either internally or from these lines that exist here. I do have, which was submitted, this was the generic elevation that is somewhat consistent with what Scott presented in the color rendering. But the basis of this was just to kind of show some of the scale of the heights, with the maximum building height here being 28'10". And again, I think this is subject to change with the final design. The other intent of this was to calculate the minimum glazing area which is required. At 20% is required, and we're right at that 20% with this sketch elevation. So once I think the tenants are determined, and this thing will be kind of refined, if you will, as once those tenants are identified, and we can work with them to meet that threshold of the 20%. So that's in essence really the site piece of it, and the kind of the elevation. And with that, I can answer any questions that the board may have.
Joe, do you have any comments on this?
3 topics. Randy, the exterior materials, have they been identified yet?
This, what you see here And again, I think this will be refined with the final tenants, but what you're looking at here, there's some brick, you've got some culture stone, you've got some ephes, pretty standard materials. You're looking at some standing seam roofs up on these curved areas. So I would say that will be consistent.
And the percentage of glass?
Yes.
Also.
Yeah, I don't think there's any intent to deviate from the minimum requirements of the glazing.
What about the compactor rough raised landscape screening on the right side of the building? What is proposed there?
So we have, in the package that was submitted, we do have a landscape plan. Bear with me one second. So this is the proposed planning, again, so we've got that strip in between the patio and the main sidewalks, and we've got some bushes and some shrubbery in there. These islands actually here, which I failed to mention, these are currently striped, so we're proposing to curve these islands with landscaping with some trees. There's some Cleveland select pears in there. And then over here in the compactor, which Mr. Booth was referring to, we do have some arborvitaes in there in this area to screen the transformer, and then some other shrub plantings in here, and there's a maple over here in this corner. So we do have some plantings around there.
And lastly, without the vehicular protection, you've got an outdoor patio proposed in front of the restaurants. Is any protection being afforded to people sitting out there from runaway vehicles?
Really, I mean, no, at this point, no. I mean, you've got a raised curb, and then there'll be some kind of, I would assume there'll be some kind of fence defining this patio area for each restaurant. But haven't really thought about any protection. I'm just trying to think of other developments that I've seen. I haven't typically seen that. I don't know that this is any closer to proximity to driveways than some of the other ones I've seen. And again, typically think, I mean, your travel direction is here versus, yeah, you do have some cars that will be coming this way and turning. Good.
Anything from you?
No.
Any questions from board members?
Do you have a west facing elevation?
We do not. At this point, we've just prepared this. And this end, again, I think it'll be driven by what the tenant's needs are and how the floor plan lays out as far as kitchen and storage area.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard to say, would there be glazing over there? It depends. I mean, if it ends up
Right.
with some dining areas, then there certainly might be some glazing on that side.
Yeah, I was just more interested in the screening of the compactor and the transformer. Yeah, just wondering what that would look like.
Yeah, again, so we've got raised plantings around here, so to your point, if there happens to be windows here, we're really limited because there is a walk here to be able to get back to the service door. But, I mean, we could potentially, if there was a window here and we want to screen this, we could put up a fence or something, as long as we can get access to them. We just gotta have access to the transformer.
The anticipated percentage or ratio of restaurant versus new retail space, what is the anticipation there? Are you
It's
trying to
still-
market more to restaurants or more to retail?
Really, our goal is a few restaurants do out the front of this to keep people in the shopping center, keep them there longer, buying shoes, whatever. It's a mix until these guys are signed and the deals are done. Right now, all I can assume right now is 2 restaurants.
Anything else? Anybody else?
I got some questions. First rendering provide for handicap accessibility to the facility directly in front of the entrance. And your plan B, or grading plan shows handicap parking up on the right of the lot.
Yeah, that's correct. This is currently here. We hadn't proposed moving that at this point.
Is that in consideration for your handicap parking? And I don't know where your curb cuts are, we need to find out where your cuts are for accessibility for.
There's a ramp, we were showing a new ramp here. So
Okay.
we would have access across and up into the building.
And what about those handicap accessible spots on the left-hand side? Right there?
These are, I think, generally serve the Sears building. We do not have any access here, just because we've got parking, we'd have to put a path in there, if you will, for somebody to get through there. But yeah, these were not intended for here, but we were looking at those to serve those restaurants.
So you're going with that for additional, or you're going to use the existing handicap?
Using the existing handicap, that's that.
Okay. And you're going to install one new ramp, and so the handicap on the left-hand side, you're not going to provide additional ramp access to those people who want to enter the new entrance.
We weren't intending on that. I mean, certainly if that's a concern of the board, it's something we could look at. You could potentially have a ramp here. I don't think we could get direct access through without impacting another space.
I would say there are more and more handicap needs in our community, older population. If you look at the demographics, you ought to really consider ease of access and make it as user-friendly as possible.
All right, well, we can take a look at that.
You meet the ADA requirements with those on-site parking spots.
Yes, the mall in its entirety needs to be accessible to the number of spaces that are required.
We actually have 77 spaces, which requires a
Well, I was there this afternoon to check this over one last time. They were all full, all the handicap.
Anybody else? Oh, sorry,
We
Julie.
had no,
Your drawings and your rendering provide a different set of luminaires that can be installed for lighting as compared to what exists right now. To upgrade everything in the area, or are you just gonna upgrade the immediate area adjacent to where the.
We're talking about these fixtures here?
Yes.
Just
As
those.
compared to-
Yeah, just those. Yeah, but there's no changes proposed to the parking lot lights.
That's not what page 4 says. Page 4 says a few parking lights will be relocated to accommodate the project.
And that's essentially this.
Yeah.
That's essentially
So
this
on
and that
building.
lighting.
Well, it's these pedestrian, I think Scott was referring to pedestrian lights across there.
so that big light that's right next to your access over on the Hartford side is still gonna stay. That way.
I'm sorry, Ryan?
Let me just double check that. We have it on the
Drawing there, that big tall light.
That will be staying, yes.
That stays.
That will be staying, yes.
Yeah.
That one stays.
Any other questions?
This one, so look at the entrance to the mall in the right side addition.
This is a service corridor,
Just one.
so the main, yeah, this was here, the only access to the mall.
Okay, right.
And then I had just one more, looking at your rendering
Okay.
and your proposal, how do you plan to terminate the new facade against the old facade? As you're coming in, how will that transition look? Will the transition be at this location, where all your changes are gonna take place in your building construction, type of material?
Well, it'll terminate here, and it's gonna terminate here into this
Okay.
here.
So you're gonna end at those corners, that whole new part, you're gonna have a new facade and everything else, you're gonna have to.
That's correct.
Anything else, Julius? So, anybody else?
I just have one quick question. On the sanitary sewer, where does that come into? Does that go into Commercial Drive, or does it go to the other side of the building? Over behind the Anadas's?
It goes out Commercial Drive, so there is a line that comes out between Circuit and Target right now. It
Okay.
goes straight out to just past the ring road, it connects with another one on the other side of Target, and then it goes essentially up the Hartford ramp.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
That's
this,
a good thing.
this sanitary line here just goes out.
Okay, you don't want to.
That's a very good thing.
So this is the storm line I was referring to.
Mhm.
So there's an existing storm line in here that we would be replacing with a 30-inch, running a new 30-inch out here to a new storm structure, and then tying in over to this existing storm structure, and this is 30-inch here. So this leg just seems to be undersized for the amount of.
But the
flow.
sewer goes that way too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'll be completely eliminating that entrance on the, where the Target is.
Yes. This here, yes.
Any other questions? Is someone inclined to make a motion of some kind?
Just general discussion. I am, I'll say, going to various malls across the state. I am concerned about the location of the positions of the handicap spots and access for people with disabilities. I don't have the standard in front of me, I'm sure you meet the minimum number of spots required, but that location may be very difficult for those people who do have difficulties and have special needs. So that's my only
I looked at
concern.
that today too.
I have a question for Joe. Is there anything in our code that has the allotment around the building? For instance, there's 77 handicap spaces, but do they have to be positioned in any particular place?
NCA 117, they have a specification on that, but our local code doesn't. Our local code only addresses percentage of spaces.
Because certain entrances may be bigger draws for those.
Well, the other side of Target has a number of handicap spots.
And we're eliminating the one entrance to Target, to the mall, in one location.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I see that as a problem based on the aging of our population.
And the location remains.
And the location of that is not convenient.
Herb, can we require it?
Well, I can research it, I don't know off the top of my head, I'd have to look at it.
I mean, I'm familiar with ANSI, and I don't believe there's anything in there that, to your point, because this is a mall and there's multiple entrances.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a balancing act, and I think it's just something we're gonna have to look at.
Absolutely.
I think you can certainly ask the developer voluntarily to take that into consideration,
Look at it.
possibly amend the.
Over the past few years, we have been looking at it where, for example, at the end of Macy's, which is the only spot in the building that actually has stairs, those handicap spots. Well, that didn't make sense. So we're willing to take a look at it, absolutely.
Yeah, so this is the overall mall plan, fairly accurate of where all these spaces are, and I think you mentioned Target, there's upwards of 9 spaces there. You know, each entrance has some. They're just dispersed throughout the.
Well, it's a difficulty of getting in and out of, I mean, the potential for restaurants, you really want them to be accessible.
Correct, well, absolutely.
So, I mean, handicapped accessible.
Yes, yep.
So, in my opinion, you're not doing as efficient an operation to provide for that as you could.
Understood.
We'll take a
Loud
look
and
at
clear.
it. We'll absolutely look at it.
Did I say it right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Well-
because I'm very aware.
We could have a motion that includes this as a requirement if the law permits it, or it's a voluntary if it doesn't. So Fred's going
Or
to
you
check
could
it.
table it, subject to their coming back next month with a proposal to deal with that issue then.
Hey, can I say a question? Did you guys think about this? I mean, I would think that as you're, plotting and planning, you would have thought,
Oh, Terry will bother you.
You know, that if, you know,
The
do we want to put more spots in?
The actual ANSI standard ADA requirement does not give a specific location, but it talks about convenience or also access to those centers. Again, my primary concern is from a planning perspective, looking at nature and character, and we're providing a main focal point and entrance for people with new ability, and I shouldn't say we, Sangertown is providing this for people to come and visit restaurants with a focal point that everybody's gonna look at. I mean, almost everybody here said, wow, when they saw the rendering. And, to me, looking at those handicap spots, they're tucked off to the side.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's gonna be, so I don't, we can't specifically require it, force it, but it would be nice to have that considered, maybe making it more accessible, or readjusting those spots, more centrally located, for use of those curb cut areas for them, the ramps, people who do have disabilities.
How many more spots would be acceptable in the planning board?
I'm not saying additional spots, what I'm saying is if you look at the artist rendering that they had on the original one, and that's the one that caught my eye specifically, it shows the handicap, reserved spots, pretty much centered in that location. If you look at the actual plan diagrams and drawings, they're tucked off to the side, more consistent with the old target access.
Right, but though, just, well, as you know, sometimes it's more convenient to have them off to the side because there's less traffic, through traffic, when you cross the main thoroughfare.
And that's a lot of times why, you know,
Yeah, that's-
Nancy says ideally the shortest route, the shortest path, but it's not always the best location.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of activity there.
Well, the other thing is they represented that this fairly and accurately represents what they intend to proceed with. So if they're gonna deviate from that, they're gonna have to come back here. Because Joe specifically asked them with regard to the windows, the exterior, et cetera. So if there's, and they depicted those spots located there.
And again, keep in mind, this is a representation of what Sangertown would like to build. I think it's a fairly accurate representation, but there is gonna be potential changes in this facade, and I think, to your point, you know, when that's figured out, we'll be back to this board.
Absolutely.
And I would note, these are not compliant spaces, because there's no stripe there. So there's really not 6 spaces there, but yeah, I think we.
But you've got the symbol on them, so.
Yeah, no, I know, I mean, we understand, there's a concern from the board about where the spaces are, the number of spaces, so it's something that we definitely gotta look at. I don't think there's any opposition to addressing that item.
I don't mind moving them to a convenient location across the front of the building at all. My mother's handicapped, I'm a military guy, friends are a lot of veterans, they're coming back, they need it, so I understand it.
So, we're clear on what eventually we may approve, will in fact be a facade. We have to see the final facade of the.
Well, if he's gonna substantially deviate from that, yeah, he's gotta see what the materials are. Let's say they get somebody in there that wants to put up all stucco and no windows or something, then that's gonna deviate from what you've been shown and what you've proved.
I think that the purpose of this was to convey to the board, this is gonna be a first-class development. The details are gonna be worked out as those tenants are identified. But I think the Sangertown folks are gonna dictate somewhat to the clients that this, you know, this isn't gonna be, it isn't gonna be this. It's gonna be more higher end looking to help draw, you know, improve the customer base.
Well, there's no question in my mind that this is gonna be approved once we get it all together. So that's not an issue. But we are grappling with a new law, which I'm still not completely familiar with. So Joe, at the end of this, I mean, in the past, we do a site plan review on this, we get the building itself squared away, we get the parking spaces squared away, and there's an approval. Now, under the new law, are we looking at this facade? Is this something we actually approve, or we don't have to worry about the facade?
I think, being that they're representing their intent to use all the materials acceptable by our code and comply with the glazing requirements, I think that's something that can be done
Internally?
internally and checked internally.
And then if need be, you bring it back.
Absolutely. If they can't, if they've got a merchant that has no windows in front of their store, or wants to do bamboo exterior or something as their trademark, then they'd have to come back.
All right, I just want to be clear on that. So would we put this over for a month? So we have to get this parking squared away.
Yeah, I think we do. And they've indicated they're willing to adjust it,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah,
I
I
would
guess,
suggest you table it, let them come back and show what they propose to do with regard to the parking.
Well, I guess I mean, is there a means to do that conditional approval based on satisfying, I don't know, Joe's the representative of the board?
I
or-
would think we could do
I'm probably opposed to that if we're gonna relocate the parking spots in a more direct fashion.
You want to put that in the resolution?
Well, who are you giving the authority to make that determination? Joe?
Can
Yeah,
we do
because
that?
it's really.
Do you have an issue
They're
with
gonna
that,
be back
Joe?
for a final, they've got to show it on their final plan.
Yeah.
We're talking about a conditional plan.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it's an amendment to finding, really, is the way we dealt with it.
The question would be, if this is coming down to those parking spaces, so if you were satisfied where they proposed to expand them, move them, do whatever, I think that's what the board's asking them. But if you're not comfortable with that, then they'll come back to us.
It's not a big deal, for me to check. As long as they're.
Is that what you're proposing, Jules?
Yeah, I would be happy with that if the.
once you make the motion, I'll say.
Well, it's not just checking, I mean, it's, I mean, the law is law, but I don't think we're, and I agree with both of you, it's not so much about checking as in what is the best thing for the spot, right?
I would expect, or the motion I would propose is accepting the amendment to final, provided the plans are updated and confirmed to match the artist rendering for handicapped accessibility, okay, as direct as possible to the new entrance.
Well, he's saying that they're not, though. He's saying they're not gonna.
This is a,
They're not gonna put them in.
They're not gonna put them.
no, that's not what we're saying. We're saying we're gonna take a look at it and figure out, is that the best place to put them, and how many do we need? That's what we're suggesting. We're not opposed to looking at this and satisfying the board's request.
Well, it's my understanding right now, as it is, I didn't see any handicap accessibility in front of the old service.
They're off to the side, and we've, on the plans that were
So,
submitted
yeah.
to the board, we
So-
didn't propose any
But
changes.
it was next to, you know,
Well, they're covering all the spaces. I
Yeah,
mean, they're-
right.
And it also
They're putting
serves
sidewalks
serve
around.
a target entrance.
Yes.
so,
So we eliminated the
I
target entrance.
think there's too much confusion on this, and I don't think it should be thrown over to our codes enforcement officer. I think we should get this squared away at the board level, so there's no question about it, they're all satisfied. That puts an awful lot on Joe to try to figure out whether it's your concern, your concern, your concern.
no, I think we're all in the same,
Make a resolution that the handicapped parking spaces be moved, centered on the main entrance.
Well, increase too, we wanted more.
you want 6, because that's what's in there.
It is depicted on that.
Well, those 6 are not
Yeah, understood.
compliant
Right,
spaces.
they're not compliant.
So that would ordinarily be about 4.
If 6 is our number, I can ensure that we can put 6 handicap spaces across the front of that current box in a way that is most convenient to that entrance.
So it will look like that rendering.
Is that your motion?
That's
Well,
my
it's
motion.
proper striping.
Right.
That is Julius's motion then.
Okay.
Offer measure.
There's a second on that? Any further discussion regarding that?
Wait, so the motion
The
was
motion
increase
is-
of 6 in front of the entrance properly.
Wait a minute, you changing it and adding something to it, Joe?
The motion is to increase to 6, except the relocation of the handicapped accessible parking as shown on the artist rendering. As part of the acceptance of the amendment to final.
And Peggy seconded.
So they're taking these 4 out and moving them over here and adding 2 and doing nothing with these.
Correct.
There you go.
Okay, you didn't have 6 before, so now.
Julie, can you make compliant because of the rendering?
We did.
fine.
Yes.
You got it?
Yep.
Any further discussion regarding this matter? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.